Hi! Hello! Welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome. I learned a new word the other day and I actually cannot get over how fancy it sounds. You ready? Acrasia. Acrasia is the belief that humans have this innate sense of choice and autonomy in each and every one of us. This ability to make what we will of our lives. This was first coined by the ancient Greeks, and I think it's still a pretty popular mindset when it comes to thinking of choice and autonomy these days. A lot of us still believe that we have the ability to change how our lives play out by the different choices and decisions we make on a daily basis. This concept of choosing or not choosing to exercise self-restraint is also commonly referred to as willpower. Even though each and every one of us has our own set of responsibilities and obligations to fulfill no matter how we feel, it doesn't really stop us sometimes from making choices that we know aren't the best for us. Why do we still choose to stay up late and go on social media binges, even though we know deep down that spending 2 hours on TikTok isn't really the best thing for us at all? We really do feel the pinch when it comes to willpower, especially when that shine and novelty that you get when you experience something new and exciting begins to wear off. Instant gratification is thrown out the window and suddenly everything is just slowing down into this dreary grind that's kind of painful. I know I'm not the only one, but you know that episode of The Simpsons where Homer has this monkey in his head and it just has symbols and it's just going crazy all the time and super restless? Yeah, that's when the monkeys in our brains start going crazy, going ham on the symbols and just shrieking. Before you know it, we are stuck in this insane wrestling match in our heads and we find ourselves needing this invisible, intangible sort of force to carry us forward so that we can knuckle down and keep practicing to do whatever it is we need to do. There were many great people like Pluto and Aristotle and other philosophy people that have debated over the reasons why we humans still choose to act against our better judgment in spite of knowing all the consequences. But there was a popular theory that still stands today, and that theory states it is because of two broad reasons. The first being an absence of personal investment in what we're doing, or the second, which is the fact that the stakes surrounding the circumstances just aren't high enough to spur us into any significant sort of action. There is a lot of focus placed on positive reinforcement, for example, allowing yourself to indulge in a hot bath after submitting a project. And yeah, for sure that might work because you get to look forward to something nice after you finish the project, right? But what if you didn't finish the project? So what if you missed out on that nice hot bath? The thing is, you are still in a comfortable position if you don't have that bath. You're still chilling out and enjoying your evening, and that kind of makes not doing the thing comfortable. When the stakes aren't high enough, we often forget that not having negative consequences to inaction kind of encourages inaction. Let me rephrase that. By not having a negative consequence to not finishing the project, it is more likely that we just go, you know what, I don't care about the bath. I just don't want to do this. Practicing willpower is something that requires a fair bit of self-awareness. I know this is gonna be so cringe, but it is very much like a muscle that we have to keep using in order to get used to using and use better. This can be done through many ways, a mix of internal and external strategies. There are various external things that you can use to keep yourself in check. For example, having someone to be held accountable to. This can be a family member or a social group that you constantly keep updated on your progress. If you said you were gonna stop micromanaging someone at work, then placing a wager to have to buy that person a cup of coffee every time you get a little can help curb the behavior. Forming a social contract with another person outside of yourself also means that you cannot weasel your way out of a negative consequence, helping you remain honest to what you said you would do. It also gives you the freedom to increase your stakes to the point where what you stand to lose is significantly more than what you have to invest. That way, when you have the decision of exerting willpower or not, exerting willpower is actually the easier choice and the one you're more likely to make. Another way of relying on systems outside of ourselves is learning how to leverage on the public eye. I think if there's one thing we as a generation of humans can agree on, is that social media is a pretty powerful tool. Posting a picture of yourself at the gym means that you are setting an expectation for yourself and the people that follow you, creating this standard that may or may not be true, that you are constantly working out. Whether the people that see the photo actually care or not, or keep track of whether you show up, doesn't really matter. For all they know, you could have just shown up to the gym, taken a photo and left. What matters and will keep you accountable is the fact that you want to come across as someone who does what you say they will do. Hence, you being more likely to do the thing. There is also a very valuable internal strategy that I want to mention. I'm trying not to sound woo-woo about it. Visualizing the results of you exerting willpower can be effective too. Say you struggled with being consistent with exercise, to follow with the previous example. Imagining and fully being able to visualize what it means to lead a sustainable and healthy life that is balanced for both your body and mind. To not have that sense of guilt or dread attached to food and disruptive behaviors. That would drastically change the perspective you take on the daily challenges you might face. Maybe even making the learning process a little more enjoyable, because you would intrinsically understand that by going through this and making the most of it, you are doing the things that someone that cares about their health says they will do. This kind of works the other way around too. Likewise, reflecting on the consequences of inaction would also work. Imagine how your health or bank account would suffer if you continue on your current trajectory, and really take the time to flesh out that imagery in your head. Hospitals, needles, crying family and all. You would start to associate exerting willpower with the positive effects you want to achieve. And likewise with not exercising restraint when it comes to the negative consequences that you are trying to avoid. Visualizing the different ways this can play out based on the decision you have right in front of you will also help you understand the needs of your future self. If you see yourself struggling to be consistent with journaling just because you keep forgetting to sit down and write, this can be as simple as leaving your notebook wide open on your desk, flip to the page, ready to go. That way, when you walk past your desk, it's right there for you and super easy to jump straight into. Of course, this is just a very simple basic example and can be applied across a multitude of things like your email inbox, or even designing your environment in a way to take the most willpower out of the action. Leaving your yoga mat set up if you have the space, so that you don't have to bother with packing it up and unpacking it and clearing the space and unclearing the space all over again whenever you want to have a little session. Thinking for the future would help you anticipate the different obstacles that you might come across, so that you can remove these different points of friction and pain in advance to avoid draining your willpower as much as possible, making it easier for you to do the things that you want to do. On the other hand, making it harder to do the things that you don't want yourself to be doing too. This also means that you are saving this very finite amount of willpower for the situations that would really call for it. We see a lot of quotes going around like, "Oh, motivation sucks, it doesn't last, discipline is the way to go, discipline is key," all that sort of jazz. But I do think that willpower is in this sort of grey zone where if we get used to or disciplined enough to keep practicing it, it does become its own sort of motivation, and this momentum is something that is pretty undeniable. Thank you so much for choosing to share your time with me. As always, don't forget to leave a like if you like this video. I hope you do. I will see you guys in the next one.